About 30 years ago, precisely on June 12, 1993, the most anticipated presidential election held in Nigeria. The goal was to elect a leader that would pilot the affairs of the nation for the next 4 years. This happened after years of military rule in the country. But just as the presumed winner, Chief M.K.O. Abiola, was about to celebrate his victory, the Babangida-led military junta announced the result of the election.
It is true that the presidential election was generally seen to be free, fair, and peaceful. However, there was in fact a huge array of electoral practices virtually in all the states of the Federation before the actual voting began.
And in defiance of the actions of the military, Abiola rejected the decision and later declared himself President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The people of this country went to polls on Saturday, June 12, 1993, and without let or hindrance chose me as their president. Didn't they?
Because of this singular act, Abiola was arrested and detained until he died in detention June 12. Please come with me. The presidential election of June 12, 1993 involved two political parties, the Social Democratic Party SDP and the National Republican Convention NRC. At that time, the military regime, which has closely controlled the transition process, favored a two-party system for the country. Consequently, Chief M.K.O. Abiola was a candidate of the Social Democratic Party SDP, while Bashir Tofa was the National Republican Convention flag bearer. Despite the fact that the election was declared by both local and international observers as the freest and fairest election in the history of the country, the outcome never came to reality. The acclaimed winner, Chief Moshood Abiola, never held office. And
they say Nigeria is a democracy, but what kind of democracy jails dissidents, silences voices, and ignores justice? June 12, the day they claim to honor democracy, but it's also the day they bury the truth. From Abiola's stolen mandate in 1993 to Nnamdi Kanu's unlawful detention in 2021 to Fulani dominance from the farms of Benue to the seat of power in Abuja. What really happened to Nigeria's democracy? Today, we connect the dots. This is not just history. This is truth they fear. June 12 should be scared. It was the first time Nigeria across religion and tribe voted as one. They chose M.K.O. Abiola, a man who promised to bring hope, but hope was crushed. His victory was denied. His life ended in a suspicious detention, and the same force that stole his mandate, they never left. Fast forward to today, June 12 is now Democracy Day. Yet, democracy is in chains, and one man, Nnamdi Kanu, is the living evidence. Is this freedom, or have we simply changed the uniforms of oppression from military camouflage to agbada? Let's go back. The year of promise, Abiola ran under the Social Democratic Party. He won across all 6 geopolitical zones. Even in the north, it was rejection of division and embrace of hope. But then came the betrayal. Military allies, many of the northerners annulled the election. The people protest, hundreds died. Abiola was imprisoned and later he died just before his release. To this day, no one has been held accountable. June 12 became the symbol of a struggle, but also the proof that Nigeria democracy was born in blood, lies, and compromise. And that compromise continues, especially when it comes to the Igbo nation. If Abiola goes could speak, it will ask, is this the democracy I die for? Because in this same Nigeria, another man rose, not a politician, not a general, but a voice of the people, Nnamdi Kanu. He didn't win an election. He won arts. He didn't pick up a gun. He picked up a microphone. He called out injustice. He asked for a referendum. He said, let the East decide. And for that, he was hunted, kidnapped in Kenya, and thrown into DSS custody illegally. And for that, he was hunted, kidnapped in Kenya, and thrown into DSS custody illegally. No trial, no bail, no due process. just like Abiola. Different name, same punishment. Why? Because he challenged the system, and that system is rooted in one truth they try to deny: Fulani control. There is no pattern. Go back to the 18th. Uthman Dan Fodio launched a jihad. The Fulani Empire expanded by conquest, spreading deep into Hausa land. Then came colonialism. The British preferred ruling through Fulani emirs. Why? Because it kept the North united under a feudal grip. And today, that blueprint remains. Only now, it is not horses and sword. It is policy, cattle, and AK-47 in the bush. From rural settlements, grazing reserve laws, the waterways bill, strategic appointment in security and finance, every major institution, army, police, DSS, CBN, custom, was led by northerners, many Fulani under Buhari regime, presidents or coordination. And when farmers protest Fulani herdsmen attacks, what happened? They were labeled terrorism. But when Fulani militants strike, the government calls it communal clashes. The Nigeria state fears what it cannot control. And Kanu is not a man, it is a movement. Love it or hate it. And Kanu is not a man, it is a movement. IPOB love it or hate it. Expose the government. Double standard. When bandits kidnap students in Kaduna, they negotiate. When Esma kill village in Enugu, they call for calm. But when IPOB held a rally, the arm rolled in guns, blasting. Why? Because IPOB doesn't beg. Because Kanu didn't kneel. Because he called Nigeria bluff. And in doing so, he exposed something deeper. That this country is not built on unity. It is built on fear, maintained by division, and protected by force. Another question: where are the southern leaders? Where are the governors, senators, the monarchs? Yoruba leaders stood by while Abiola died. Now they watch as Kanu is locked away. Why? Because many of them are part of the same power equation. They trade silence for contract. They exchange justice for appointment. Meanwhile, they not move like a unit. One voice, one agenda, and one goal. Retain control. They disagree in public, but in private, they united. And that unity is how they have dominated the military, the economy, and even elections. The South must learn or lose. So here we are, June 12, 2025. While officials are busy lying, red, and giving speeches, let's ask, where is democracy when journalists are arrested? Where is freedom when a man asking for referendum and is tortured? Where is justice when killer herdsmen roam free? The answer: there is none. June 12 is not Democracy Day. It is Hypocrisy Day. A day when Nigeria pretends to be free, but the shame are simply invisible. Ask yourself, will Abiola support this system today? Will he clap for this democracy? Or will he rise again as Kanu did? If there is any hope left, it is lies with you. Not the politicians, not the courts, not the armed forces. The people. For real democracy to exist in Nigeria, we must demand regional autonomy. Let every region control its resources and destiny. Judicial independence. Kanu must be tried or released. Electoral reform. No more rigged election by INEC. Security restructuring. State police, not federal occupation. Truth telling, a national dialogue on FITA. Because without truth, there can be no peace. Without justice, there can be no unity. Without Kanu freedom, there can be no democracy. One road leads to silence, fear, and endless suffering. The other is courage, reform, and the fight for truth, democracy. Abiola walked the path and paid the price. Now Kanu walk it and suffer the same fate. But you, watching this, still have a choice. Do nothing and watch the nation crumble, or rise and reclaim the country. Nigeria doesn't need saviors, it needs citizens. If you believe in justice, if you believe in truth, then share this video. Let the world know June 12 is not just a date, it is a question. And until Nnamdi Kanu is free, Nigeria is not. Subscribe, comment below. What does democracy mean to you? This is Naija Post News. Truth, no matter the cost.